inspiring speakers this evening who are courageous enough to stand in front of you and share their painful yet inspiring journeys through their eating disorder treatment and recovery. I am honored and proud to introduce to you our first speaker, Sandy Lang.
Thank you. I hope I'm loud enough for you. Thank you. My name is Sandy Lang, and my story is about the price I paid to be thin. By sharing my story, I hope someone will recognize anorexia in his or her life or that of a loved one. My family confronted me with this disease and saved my life. I hope you can do this thing. Please give me a minute. Since I was a child, I loved to walk. Walking calmed me down, walking cleared my head, walking's great exercise and great for your heart. Walking is low impact and good for your bones, unless you did what I did. I couldn't just take a walk. I had to walk faster than anyone else, and I had to walk further than anyone else. At first, I had an 8-mile route. Then I had a 12-mile route, because that was long enough. I established a 16-mile route just to go out and take a walk, you know. And that was not long enough. I just kept going and going and going. I was obsessed with walking 40 or more, and mostly or more, miles per week. I was a celebrity in the county where I live. I was known as that girl that walks all the time. Walking got me discounts at stores, restaurants, an article in the suburban newspaper, fruits, vegetables, flowers, a marriage proposal, and the nickname Barbie. I absolutely loved all the attention. People always commented that I was the picture of health, if they only knew. As I pushed my body further and faster, I restricted my diet. I ate 3 meals every day, so I would never dream that I was an anorexic. I limited my diet by eating no fat, no sugar, and no meat. As I pushed my body with excessive exercise, it did what any malnourished, overextended body would do. Essentially, my body started eating itself. My bones leached calcium to feed my body, and as a result, my bones are deteriorating. I have osteoporosis. My walk that at one time energized me began to hurt me, and my body was extremely stiff. I was obsessed with walking at least 40 miles a week, which I knew was not normal. I knew this was not normal, but I could not stop this compulsion. The smaller my body got, the more I hurt. I could barely make it up the steps after my walk. My medical problems began to mount. In the year 2000, I was diagnosed with a blood condition that required me to have whole iron pumped into my veins at a cost of $2,000 per drip. This condition was seen during World War II, when soldiers didn't have enough food to meet their nutritional needs and marched excessively. Most years I needed only 2 drips, but one year I needed 3. In 2005, I had venous closure surgery for varicose veins in my legs. That cost to me out of pocket was $2,900. In 2006, I had skin cancer. The cost to me was $1,200. In 2007, I had double hernia surgery. The cost to me was $3,000. All of this stuff was related to my walk. In 2008, I had to have a tendon repaired in my right foot. My cost was $4,800. I had to live with my sister and brother-in-law for 8 weeks because I was on crutches and could not put any weight on my foot. As I recovered from this foot surgery, my body hurt more and more. I was in a boot for 7 months, which did not allow me to put full weight on my right foot. This caused my back to hurt very badly. If you looked at me from behind, my spine actually looked crooked. I went to 2 chiropractors, 1 neurosurgeon, constant visits to my primary care physician. The pain and the stiffness kept getting worse and worse. 2009 was the worst year of my life. Even though I wasn't walking excessively, I still restricted my diet. Finally, I started going to a chiropractor that calls himself an orthopedic chiropractor. He will not rest until he knows why a person is in pain. After working with me for approximately 6 weeks, he said that he didn't think I had a back problem. He thought I should have my hips x-rayed. I thought he was crazy, but I did as he asked. Sure enough, my hips were in a horrendous condition. The x-rays came back. They said the bones looked like a much older person than a 52-year-old woman. The doctor told me I might be able to wait up to 1 year to have my hip replaced. I didn't want to have an operation, especially a hip operation. So I suffered in incredible pain because I did not want to do that. In 2009, my out-of-pocket medical expenses were $3,000 without having an operation. December 3rd, 2009, brought the birth of Lucy Louise. She's my first grandchild. And you don't know pure, utter joy until you become a grandparent. Although my body was in pain, my life was brighter than ever with the birth of this beautiful baby. A couple of weeks later, around Christmas time, the horrible nightmare of anorexia came crashing into our lives. My dear, beautiful niece, that I love like a daughter, went away to college, Yale, and came back for Christmas 30 pounds lighter. She was very weak. She was hardly the strong, athletic girl that left for college 12 weeks earlier. Her mental and physical health was very fragile. The anorexic is not the only person to suffer with this diagnosis. Anorexia consumes the entire family. My brother and sister-in-law were educated to this nightmare in a hurry. Through much prayer, therapy, and education, my niece started coming alive again. She was no longer had that vacant, hollow look in her eyes. Lucy was an inspiration to her. As my niece got stronger, both mentally and physically, she and my sister-in-law were able to recognize the disease in me. My family had worried off and on over the years about my compulsive exercise and my weight loss. But it is really easy to turn a blind eye to this nightmare. But no more. The day of reckoning came at our annual Mother's Day celebration. This is an all-girl event at the home of my sister. This day, my sister-in-law drew the shortest straw, and she was going to confront me with my anorexia. She gave me an article that was in the Cincinnati Enquirer a few weeks early. Excuse me. It was about a woman in her 50s that exercised obsessively and compulsively. She was terrified of passing anorexia on to her grandchildren. It was a slap in my face. This woman had a form of anorexia, and I had to admit, so did I. My sister-in-law told me to call the doctor mentioned in the article. She and my brother